Life is so busy, and we often get swept up in the chaos and the routine of it all. We are so focused on work and responsibilities that we sometimes fail to check in with ourselves and take a second to actually just like reflect and decompress. But I want you to think, if someone were to ask you who you are, would you be able to answer them? Could you accurate could you accurately describe yourself? Do you know your strengths and your weaknesses? Could you describe your traumas, your desires, your values, what brings you joy, what fills your cup, what brings you energy, what depletes your energy? As you watch or listen to this video, I want you to look inward and think about who you really are and if you've taken the time to actually discover that. So, I first want to touch on the importance of finding yourself. A year ago, I was finishing up university, and I promise you, honestly, most of my time was spent in classes, commuting, doing homework, and that was kind of it. My brain was so focused on school. And with such a chaotic schedule, I didn't always have time. I'm not even going to say always, I seldom had time to really check in with myself and take a beat and think about what was even going on because I was so focused on just finishing my work and graduating school. And I was so swept into it that I didn't even realize that I hadn't been checking in with myself. It was only after I graduated and I took a few months to myself to actually just not think about work or my career or what I wanted to do that I really discovered who I am and what I want to do and what I want my life to look like. I gave myself permission to take a beat because I had been in school for 4 years and had an idea about what I wanted to do and, my interests and stuff, but I don't think I actually sat with myself and truly thought about the actual details of what I wanted my life to look like. So, what I did for 6 months was I would have slow mornings. I was focused on physical activity and just moving my body, becoming healthier. I would immerse myself in nature, go on little picnics with myself. I was reading a lot of self help books. I was listening to a lot of self help podcasts and watching a lot of videos. And most importantly, I was doing a lot of journaling to really discover myself and who I was and what I truly wanted in life. And I think, being someone who's used to always doing something and puts a lot of pressure on themselves to constantly be doing something and constantly be working towards something, it felt a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but honestly, it made all the difference for what I'm doing now and who I feel like I am and where I'm trying to go. So, while I was in school for 2 summers, nope, while I was in school, I had interned at a company for 2 summers in a row. And it was my first big girl job. I loved the people. I loved what I was doing. It was very eye opening and it was a really good learning experience. And I pretty much had done 2 summers in a row because after doing my first summer, I received a letter of intent, which basically just meant if I wanted to come back again for the next summer and do an internship, I had a spot pretty much. I had a spot reserved for me if I wanted to come back and do the same thing. So that's what I did. And I worked a second summer there again. So now, after completing my second summer, I received another letter of intent because at that point in time, I still was not finished school. So I had to go back for one more year. And yeah, I got another letter of intent. So in my brain, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, when I finish when I finish university, I'm just gonna work at this job again. But I'll be able to dedicate more time because I won't just have those few months where it's summer break. I'll actually be able to just work full time at this company. And so I had received the letter of intent the year prior. And then I also received, I just had a meeting with one of the hiring managers that I actually worked pretty closely with when I was there a few months before I graduated to discuss, what I was looking for in like what types of roles, what I potentially wanted my salary to be like, if, just like things like that. So I had a meeting. And after this meeting, I was told that they would just kind of follow up with me and let me know of any next steps I needed to take. So I'm like, okay, boom, bam, great. Like it's all working out. I kind of just let it kind of go to the back of my brain because I was so focused on graduating. And, because I had received a letter of intent before and had just gone back, I assumed it would have been the same thing, like the same process. So lo and behold, we're about to graduate and I'm like, okay, maybe we should follow up again to see just like where we're at, what my start date would be, if there was anything else they needed from me on my end. So maybe a month or two before I'm supposed to graduate, I follow up again with the person that I had this one-on-one meeting with. And they basically tell me, not a meeting. I followed up. I sent them an email just asking about next steps, and they basically were like, "Hey, unfortunately, we don't have anything at this moment in time that like would suit what you were looking for, but just check our website and let us know if there's anything that catches your eye or that you would want to do." And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it felt like a freaking slap in the face. It did. And it's not that I feel like I'm like an entitled person or anything, but I had worked at this company for, I think I accrued almost about a year of work, and I had known so many people there. I had known the hiring managers. I had known, the VPs and the president, because when I did start working here, the company was a lot smaller than it is now. And it kind of, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, like I was not impressed. Can you imagine you're about to graduate and you think you have a job lined up, and then on top of that you're telling freaking people that you have a job lined up? So I was kind of like, saying no to certain opportunities, or saying okay, certain opportunities had to end at a certain time, or like my part-time job I had to leave at a certain time because I was planning in my brain to start working at this full-time job that I actually didn't end up getting. So yeah, I was honestly very disappointed, I think, in the beginning, but I promise you guys, it was the biggest blessing in disguise. And this is how I think a lot of things happen. And this is why I want us always to think and remember that things are not happening to us, they're happening for us. And whatever rejection we get is just redirection. As time went on, I realized how much of a blessing in disguise it was, because I would not have had the time, those 6 months that I spent just kind of learning about myself and taking it slow, if I had accepted this job, because I probably would have maybe had a week after I graduated and would have started working immediately. Now that I spent the time doing that and reflecting on what it is I want, I know what I want my career to look like. And now, because of all of that, I know that, okay, what I actually want to do is probably going to require some entrepreneurship from me. It's going to require not just not being in a full-time role at this current moment in time. If I'm going to actually go after what I want, I know now, I recognize that I'm going to have to start building it myself. Because when I look at people's careers around me, or even on the internet, the people that, have the lives that I aspire to, get to, or have my life look somewhat like, they had to start from the entrepreneurial role. They weren't just working a full-time job for 10 plus years and then just magically opportunities were handed to them. I also learned that I'm somebody who can get mentally exhausted, and if I'm spending all of my energy or most of my energy doing things at work, I'm not going to have capacity to act on my creative ideas. I might not even have capacity to think about the creative ideas I had in my brain to begin with, because when I was working in the summer, I realized that I didn't have capacity, like after work would finish, I didn't have capacity to go then and think about, okay, like what is it that I actually want to do, and do I have the energy to pour into my actual dreams and desires while I work this job? And this is different for everybody. Some people are able to do that, and I like hands down to you all that can't. I just know that my energy gets depleted. I'm not even gonna lie, my energy does get depleted, and it's not something I can do. And I had to think about, okay, what do I actually value here? Do I want just like money for the time being, or do I actually want to start building the life of my dreams and like actually what I desire to do? There were opportunities that I was able to participate in because I didn't have a full-time job. So for example, one of them was being able to attend TIFF. If you don't know what that is, just Toronto International Film Festival, but I was able to attend it not just like as somebody who came like an audience member, but I had access to networking events. I had access to a lot of the like big players in the industry, and I was able to network and meet such incredible people that I think was so transformative for my career. And I would not have been able to do that and take the time to go to these events and meet these incredible people if I had been working a full-time job. I am also somebody that values my time incredibly. And if I want to go to Pilates at 12 p.m., I want to be able to do that. And not everybody cares about that, but I genuinely like, I don't want to feel like I'm forced to be in a certain location at a certain time every day. And I don't think, it's not that I'm lazy. I'm not even lazy. I have been working so hard my entire life. But now that I'm older and I know that I have skills for certain things, I really do value my time and how I can spend it and what I'm able to do with it in my days. And I really value being able to create my own schedule, because I know now where my energy peaks, I know where it depletes, I know what time I want to get to bed, I know all of the things that I want to get done in my day. I also would not be working on what I am working on right now, the projects that I'm working on right now, because, like I said, I would have been depleted. And I think I was so not used to having, a salary because I had been working part time for my entire life. I would have just gotten complacent because I was happy with the money that I was making because it's not something that I had done before. But because, and this is why I also encourage people to just try new things, try different things, so you can learn about yourself and see what you actually want. Because after, working a full time job, the money was incredible because I was able to put my money where I wanted it to go. I was able to save a lot more. I was able to, like if randomly on a Wednesday I wanted to go to the spa after work, I could. And then I had money for shopping and all of these things afterwards, which, was great, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I am somebody that is not willing to do anything for a bag. I'm so sorry. I don't have it in me. I literally don't have it in me. And I cannot just follow something because the money is good. And I know that I am driven by purpose. I am driven by just being able to, share stories with people and just really, I think, connect with individuals. And because I know that about myself, I know now that I'm not in a space to just be accepting any type of job because the pay is good. I will not be happy. And maybe I'll feel good for the first month or 2 months, even 6 months or a year, because being financially stable, I think, is so important and takes off so much pressure and stress in everyday life. I know myself enough to know that it's not enough. And I am now willing to do the hard thing and work really hard right now and still work part time to build my goals and build my dreams and chase after them, because I know who I am and I know what I want. And of course, I'm back to working part time now and I'm not making as much as I was when I was on salary, which, of course, part time is very different. But I promise you, I am so much happier. And I would not have known this. I would not be here and I would not have actively chosen this life if I didn't take the time to think about what I genuinely wanted my life to look like. Because I feel like you can blink and time flies. Like, I still have very vivid memories about high school. So the fact that I'm done university now is kind of really crazy to me. But I do, yeah, I am so grateful that I took the time to spend just, time with myself. And I know it's such a privilege to be able to do that because I was in a place where I didn't have big bills to pay. Like, I'm living at home, I don't have any children. But if you can, I really do encourage you to just take time to yourself and just figure out what it is you really want, you know? Being aware of who you are and what you want will determine where you go. I kid you not, having the privilege to spend those 6 months just thinking about who I am and what I wanted, vibing, going on walks, listening to podcasts, and not pressuring myself to really do anything has made the difference and is why I'm doing the things that I'm doing today. It's why I have this YouTube channel. It's why I am, in programs that I think are so transformational, and why I'm working on things that really do bring me joy. Because then also, I don't feel depleted when I'm working on the stuff that I love. It could be 10 p.m. and I'm like excited to do some of the work that I have to do. You know what I mean? Life is so precious, and I do not believe that we were all placed on earth to just suffer or to just have okay or mediocre lives. Absolutely not. It's so easy to get stuck in the trap of what you think you're supposed to be doing because society tells us that. You're told, okay, once you're done with high school, you should just be going to a post secondary institution. And then once you're done there, full time job. What if you don't want that? And, genuinely, I want you to actually think about, is that something that you want to do? For me, university made sense. I loved going to school. I was fine with that. But here's the kicker, the full time role, I actually don't, it just didn't make sense for me because I feel like if we're not acknowledging what it is we actually want and what we actually like in life, we really can get stuck. Because I do know people that did that and followed the path that was good because, we're adults and we're just supposed to be working full time. They followed that path, and I wouldn't say they don't feel super fulfilled with their lives, and I don't want that to be me. And this is no hate to them, and this is no like ha ha. Like, I think all of us should be living lives that we're so proud of and we feel fulfilled in. But I think we can get stuck, and we won't be able to live those lives if we're not actually taking a second to think about what we want, and we're just putting our energy into things because we think that's what we're supposed to be doing. And then we wake up one day and 15 years have passed by and we're not happy. I want to wake up every day excited about my life and what I have to do. I don't want to live a life where I feel like I have to escape from it. And I feel like the only joy in my life is being able to go on a vacation once or twice a year. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. This, of course, will look different from everybody, but you're not going to know what it is you actually want until you take the time to think about that for yourself and actually spend time with yourself and journal and reflect on what it is you want. Like, if you're working a job, are you actually happy here? Or are you just telling yourself that it's fine because you're making the right amount of money or you're surrounded by people that you think could do things for you? Like, actually think and tune into yourself and see, okay, how do I feel when I go to work? How do I feel when I hang out with these people? How do I feel when I wake up at this time every single day? How do I feel when I'm doing this hobby? How do I feel when I live in this area? Think about these things so that you know what, if it's something that you're not vibing with, that you're not liking, you can change it. But you can't change anything unless you're aware of it. Now, as I mentioned, a big part of what helped me discover myself and who I am and what I want and what I want to go after is journaling. So I just have a few prompts here that I'm going to list, and I'm going to leave a few more in the description for you. But these are just some prompts that helped me actually think about who I am and got me to where I am today, to the point where I am aware of what I'm doing and I'm intentionally choosing this path. So I'm going to read a few off. So we have, what beliefs about myself no longer feel true? If you had an idea about yourself, let's say you always wanted to be a lawyer from when you were young and you followed that path, but now you're here and you're like, I'm not loving this per se. Just reflect. Like, are these beliefs that you have about yourself, are they still true? When do I feel most like myself? You can also ask, what kind of work makes me feel inspired? What are my values when it comes to work? Do I enjoy working for somebody else? Do I like a long commute? Do I prefer a short commute? Do I want to be able to walk to work? What are these things? Describe a day in the life of your dream career or your just dream life in general. What does it look like when you're waking up? What time are you waking up? What time are you going to bed? How often are you seeing friends and family? Do you live near to them? Do you live far away from them? What does your balance of work, rest, and play look like? How many hours are you working in the day? Because now we are in a space where we actually, like, not everybody has to just work a 9 to 5. And if you that is your path, like, this is not a bash anybody who's working a full-time job video. That's not what that is. But I feel like it is considered the norm to do that once you do leave school. And I just want to give us all the space to start thinking about what we actually really want, and if that is right for us. Ask yourself, like, where do I see myself spending time, um, when I'm not working, when I'm not interacting with other people? Where are you living in the future? These are just some questions to ask yourself and to reflect on, to, I think, really discover what it is you want, where you want to go, what your values are, who you want to be. And like I mentioned, I'll leave a few more in the description below. But I want to thank you all for getting to the end of this video. It was a bit of a longer one. I had a lot to say, but I appreciate you all. And like I have mentioned before, life should be beautiful. I want all of our lives to be beautiful. And I think we all deserve lives where we're waking up and we're happy to be living. We're happy with our circumstances and, are not scared to pivot or change our minds about anything. I love you all. You've got this. It's going to be fantastic. We're all going to live really good lives. And yeah, have a beautiful day. See you.